think they get it.
Oh, yeah, I need to find that call.
No kidding, kind of thing.
We're ready, Mayor.
Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Mr. Turner.
Commissioner Meeks.
I'm here.
Commissioner Reichmeyer absent. Commissioner Metter.
Here.
Commissioner Zimmerman.
Here.
All right, need approval of minutes, meeting held September 18th, 2023. Do I have a motion? Second. Roll call, Mr. Turner.
Commissioner Meeks.
Yes.
Commissioner Eichmeyer is absent. Commissioner Metter. Commissioner Zimmerman.
Moving on to visitors this evening, Rob Dean, the TIF application.
Yep, go ahead, Rob. It's a real, just kind of, just give you guys a background. He came to us, his store on Walnut Street's vacant. He's wanting to do some upgrades. We did send it off to our advisors out of the Metro East area, and they came back with the recommendation. You can tell them what you plan on doing with the funds, and you should be good.
I'm gonna be hopefully informal here, but anyway, I want to thank Mayor Judge or Joe and Ryan for working with me to help me get the application filled out. My building's been vacant for a few months, as you guys know. I've never ever asked ever, and so I just thought, you know, this would be a good time maybe to try to do something, but I've had a lot of people ask me about things, and I'll say I've been actively working on something. I've called lots of different companies. We don't need to go into the names, but I've actively been working on something now for the last couple months. I feel real good about it. I don't want to announce anything because I don't want anything to go sideways, but I do want to do some parking lot repairs and do some HVAC work, and I think it would be really huge to be able to bring in a tenant and keep the lease down and do certain things. So I would appreciate your consideration on the vote, and I want to thank Ryan for helping me fill out the application. Mike Gitkin was involved also. So as far as the city's cooperation, I really appreciate it. Don't want a vacant building. But this particular thing that I'm working on would provide jobs, more employment. Besides that, it'd look a lot nicer down there too. There would be several things. I've talked to Huff Ceiling about doing the parking lot, doing the ceiling, doing some asphalt work. And so anyway, I'd appreciate your consideration and thank you.
For clarification, after we sent that to our advisors and along with estimates, their recommendation was a $50,000 grant, which is in the TIF funding for this property. And also that's the exact same amount that we gave the old IGA before we knew what they were doing. So it's in line with everything that the city's done in the past.
Need a motion? I will ask for a motion. Any discussion first? If there's no discussion, I'll take the motion. Commissioner Meeks, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, Mr. Turner.
Commissioner Meeks.
Yes.
Commissioner Eichmeyer absent. Commissioner Metter.
Yes.
Commissioner Zimmerman.
Yes.
There you go, Mr. Dean.
Thank you so much, you guys. And I think you'll be pleased if things work out like I really hope it will. But this is going to be really important to the project. Otherwise, it may not go through if it didn't get done. So thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
If you don't care, I'm going to excuse myself because I'm going to go to another meeting, okay?
All right.
Thank you for working me in.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to visitors, Mike Harris, Additions to Merchants Park.
Yeah, I met a couple of weeks ago with you, and we talked about some things that we're wanting to do on the Merchants Park stage. Amy Musa is here from Evansville. She's the one that I have been talking to about some ideas up there and some concepts. And so she's kind of put together some ideas on what we would like to start working on up there. And so I'm going to give her the floor and let her tell you what we're looking at. Okay?
Thank you.
Basically what we were Mike and I were trying to do was to make that park where it's a focal area for the city and as a destination area as well, where when visitors come for the music festivals that happen, and I don't know what else you have that goes on there, but I'm sure with that beautiful stage, there's a lot of different things through the holidays and different things that happen there. Mount Carmel used to be known as the little city with great music back in the 1800s, and I thought to bring that back up to being, since there's music festivals there, and to bring that back up as being a feature item and an identification for Mount Carmel, that we would start with a stage backdrop for that park area instead of going to the expense of having something, a freestanding sculpture for people to identify with and for them to have photo ops as well when they come to visit. So we were gonna start with, you know, the music aspect of having the treble clef being the feature item behind the stage and then having the stanza float through it, you know, with you know, different aspects. We also thought about talking about funding and how we could get the community involved with the project and be part of it and take ownership of it. So we were thinking that, you know, with the notes, the different notes that come along with the piece that would be on this like stanza, that would be between the pillars. Might as well build on what's already there instead of having the extra expense of building a foundation and everything. There's one already there. So that's cutting a whole bunch of corners. So taking this aspect, putting it between the two pillars, this is the stanza. But the triple clef would be in the center to generate interest. And then the different notes that would go on there could identify to the donors and the level of donorship that they do. They would get a fancier one if they did a higher donorship. And if a corporation wanted to do something, they'd get this. Their names would go on the arm and could be engraved on there easily. And I think this aspect with people being able to go there and see their name and saying, we're supporting the city, we're supporting this growth. This is a destination point that we encourage people to come to because it has a lot to offer. The finishes on the pieces can be any numerous thing of different colors. We can do, you know, aspects of the donor levels being a color, you know, where the, you know, brushing up the materials and stuff and then painting them. But, I mean, there's just an array of different things that we can do with it, you know. So basically that's what our thoughts are. And we, since the city owns that right now, we would of course need permission to move forward with it and you know, maybe some financial backing from the city to, you know, to get the project off the ground. I mean, we can do it in stages. We don't have to do it all at once. And as each, you know, if we get donors to get involved as well, these can be then applied as we go along. You know, where nobody is, if everybody's involved, nobody is handling the biggest part of the expense. I mean, that's basically it. We're in the concept stage of it, so moving along and getting budgets and everything, we needed to get this step approved first, or there was no sense to move forward. So that's what we're talking about.
Which step is that, may I ask? Just approval to work on the concept?
Work on the concept, and that, is this a project that the city might be interested in backing, you know, either financially are at least, with your good graces saying, yes, we believe in this project for it to move forward. And that's up to you guys, but, I mean, as far as budgets go, to do the overall concept, I mean, I've done public art in numerous places, ranging from, $250,000 all the way down to, a few thousand. My best guesstimate on this process of what we're doing is it would be somewhere around between 30 on up, 30,000 up, and that's all gonna be depending on the final concept. So, I mean, I know that's a big range,
Yeah.
but we won't know until we get it finalized, We know the concept we wanna do, and I think it's a viable one where we can get other people involved and, add more notes, stack them. We want to give a photo op, so when people come, they can identify that, like these musical notes and everything, that's Mount Carmel. I mean, we went there for a music festival, or we went there for, a Christmas event, or breast cancer or whatever. But we're thinking that we would also put programmable lighting in there, so each event could change the lighting to where if it's Christmas, it can be red and green. If it's supporting Coleman Foundation, it can be pink. If it's, music, they can use that machine to, enhance their performance.
What would be the material that this would be made of?
Okay, the materials right now, we can go in a lot of different directions, and I was just telling Mike, the first thing I told him we would do is mild steel, because it's durable, we can paint it, we can, move forward with that, and it's the least expensive, it's durable. But there's another product called Dibond, and it is basically, it has a polyurethane core to it to where it's very lightweight. So it could easily be put up by anyone, machining the things to go where it just attaches to this stanza that's just in the, the machining process. But, either way, all of these products, they end up being about the same. Whether you go stainless steel, whether you go aluminum, whether you go, this process or Dibond, it all kind of relates. But the Dibond solution would be the most affordable, is because I could do most of the work on it instead of having to farm it out to someone to do it. And then also moving this stuff, is you wouldn't have the shipping costs and stuff like that.
This would be permanently attached?
Yeah, yes. I mean, I guess eventually you could unbolt it and move it if you wanted to change it. But, we kind of even talked about, this feeding over to where it encompasses more area, where maybe it's on the side of that building. I don't know who owns that building, but even if it's not attached to that building as being a photo op, it could be right in front of it, set in concrete, and, moving forward with that, where people could get in front of it, take pictures and different things like that. People, with social media, people are into taking pictures. They need something to take pictures with to identify their spot with.
So you're in the beginning stage of the concept right now?
Well, we're moving along pretty quickly. I mean, we've kind of got it identified, as to what, and it's just fine tuning that. And then deciding on what kind of finish, that's also a fine tuning thing.
Are you gonna produce a rendering of this?
I can do that. I can do I was telling Mike, if we move forward with this, what we want to do is make it where it's a three-dimensional. People don't seem to understand drawings is because most people their minds are two-dimensional, they're not three-dimensional. So, I mean, I kind of started on this by, getting some of the pieces already done, but where we have a complete maquette of the work, so.
Is it all right for questions from the floor or no?
Hold on to that for a second, John. I appreciate it, but let the council discuss first. Austin, Susan?
I guess I'm not sure what she's asking right now.
Well, she's asking to move forward with it as a project and then possible sponsorship from the city. I kind of like where it's going, but I'm also of the thought pattern, I like seeing renderings to see what's exactly going up.
Right.
To, that way, it kind of puts you on the spot. You said this is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And that's what the council's agreeing to, so. Like,
I
the Wilderman's
understand.
on the property next to it, and if they've got some ideas, that way, John might have some ideas. People can look at what your rendering is and say, hey, what about this, what about that?
And I would welcome that, is because that is ownership,
Yes.
is when people can put their input in, and let's adapt the design for that. I mean, I'm good with that.
Well, that's probably really cool.
Yeah,
And exploring, seeing what it is. I don't see what we're looking at later down the road.
One of the things I think we need to also, we require other people is to make sure that the architect signs off on it.
Yeah.
Due to the fact it's our
It's
property.
for our
and we
property,
require other
insurance
people.
and stuff, so.
And I was asking Mike about that, is if the city has an architect, because I generally work with, architect of the city, because they approve the project, they can give the viability of as if this is safe, is it windproof, and for all the insurance things for it, because you don't want a piece to go up and then the thing is flying across and hurting someone.
Yeah, we don't employ an architect.
yeah.
But, because, rules here, but, we use ADG here in town,
Okay,
so.
Tim Riley.
No, it won't be Tim, it'll be Jason.
yeah, I'd be happy to work with them, because, getting their approval, I kind of know what's gonna work and what's not, but they need to put their stamp of approval on it. I'm good with that.
Good, Mike?
Yeah, can I,
Hold on, I'm talking to Mike right now.
oh, sorry, Mike. Went right through me.
I understand completely.
Okay,
So I think that's the way it should be.
okay. You're good. John, you're 30 seconds.
Quickly, I think you answered the thing. I was worried about that stanza and the high winds
Yeah.
but that's the detail down the
Yeah.
road. 100% support this. Anything that is gonna bring arts and an art center to the city, I believe is our way forward. 1,000% support that. A practical matter, I'll just throw, this is a little cold water, again, I still support it.
Yeah,
What we've built, what you built, Mike, is wonderful. On a practical level, it needs a backstage.
Right.
So if we're gonna raise money, if we're gonna put money, rather than make it more beautiful, I would suggest make it more practical. A backstage, a dedicated backstage area for the musicians. Right now, or the artists, whoever they are, right now they have to kind of sit on the side like they're hobos. If they had a green room, if they had a rehearsal, or a green room, backstage area.
Right.
Which would be very cheap, I think.
Yes.
Cinder block, bam, bam, bam. I think that's the best, way to spend any kind of money for the moment. But 1,000% behind
I
this
think you can
concept.
incorporate it all together. I mean, if
Fantastic.
you're going to do, a backstage in a prep area for whomever,
Right, yeah, it's a simple
Yeah.
thing.
You just want to see a rendering too? Okay.
yeah,
All right, so if you could work with them, get a
Yeah.
rendering, that'd be wonderful.
that sounds great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you much for your time.
All right, did that work real quick?
Yeah.
Moving on, just around the corner alley issue.
Real quick, Jason, before you start, there is a 5-minute time window. That's not working today, but I will be running it on my phone, so that way we keep everything running. Okay,
That's a good angle.
so, all right, Jason.
Okay, Good afternoon, everyone. I am here about the do not enter sign that's at the top of the alley between 3rd and 4th Streets that runs from Mulberry to Market. I've heard at least 6 different stories now about why it's there. I've been driving against it for 3 years. Neighbors have been driving against it for a lot longer than that. So I need someone to tell me who that belongs to and how we can get it changed, because I have delivery trucks that cannot go down that steep end of Mulberry. In May of 2020, I had my first HVAC unit delivered, and when the truck left to go down that hill, it got down to where the drop-off is in that alley and turned, and the trailer came apart from the truck. And they had to bring in a crane to put it back together and get it on the road. And so I was told, do not send any commercial vehicles down to that steep end of Mulberry, or I'll start getting the tab for it. So I have deliveries of soap, deliveries of water. I've got 3 more HVAC units to do. And needless to say, we have to drive against that sign.
Mr. Gitcom, can you help with this?
If you're going to regulate an alley, it has to be by ordinance.
Right.
Whether it's do not enter one way, because the police cannot regulate unless it is an ordinance to enforce.
Sure.
So the council's gonna have to decide, do they wanna write an ordinance allowing that? Both way traffic and remove that do not enter?
We'll change all of them, though, that's the issue. To my, me looking at it, if you're gonna do one, you're gonna create confusion on the rest of them. But, I mean, that's up to the council.
Is there any reason for it to be one way, the way it goes?
That's what we're trying to figure out, yeah.
State what that is again, what alley you're talking, where exactly we're at?
It's between, the Rivers Church and, Old Ben Franklin. was
So
the one.
going down that,
Yep,
so it's access off Market only?
Yes.
Correct?
yeah, because the rule of thumb that I was always told was,
Halfway, but not onto Market.
they always go down.
Traffic patterns have changed to the Moose Lot sold. That is private property now. I used to be able to have trucks exit through the Moose Lot, but that's private property now, so there isn't any option to send them that direction.
I wasn't even talking about options. I was just explaining to Commissioner Zimmerman the landscape. But the rule of thumb, Chief McWilliams or Mr. Turner can correct me, I was always told that off Market Street going west, it was going Market to Chestnut, and then on Market going east to Mulberry.
You're correct.
But is there an ordinance stating all that?
I would have to dig on that one.
When I
Mr.
searched,
Wilderman should know, because he had a business up there for how many decades?
75.
Yes. Do you remember the reason why that was, Dave? I was always told it was because a beer truck ran over.
Cola truck ran over a
Cola
little
truck.
girl,
Yeah.
and it caused tremendous sadness to the entire community. I was in business then. And she was a young girl. He was a fine driver. I don't recall his name anymore, but he couldn't talk to you after that happened. I don't know how many people have been affected, and I know some people still are.
Yeah.
There are 2 buildings now that are no longer on each side of that alley. There's 25 feet on each side, so it's not like I'm gonna have to worry about hitting any pedestrians up there.
There is that outside fence that has a privacy curtain on it though, where he's talking about an empty lot that's actually blocked where it's not a full empty lot.
It doesn't go all the way to the corner.
Yes, Constance.
Yeah, I do have some pretty big plans for that lot, where there'll be some building, there'll be a building on that lot within the next couple of years. I can present to you within a week or so the plans for that lot. The thing is with that alley, it is very, very narrow, like most of them are off of Market Street. And if somebody has to back up into Market Street, that is not gonna be safe for pedestrians. And you have a lot of people going in and out of the River Church. It's a very active church. So it's just not, I mean, who's gonna back down, you know? It's just one of those things. And most of those stores have 2 entrances. So if they have a delivery, it can always go into the other entrance. It's just, doesn't seem like a good idea to change these because, again, like you said, if one changes, everybody's gonna wanna change those one-ways. And there are one-ways from 3rd to 8th Street.
I've already been open for 3.5 years. This isn't something we're talking about doing in another 2 years. So schedule your own council time, that's fine.
It is an open discussion, Mr. Johnson, so. And I started that with asking Mr. Wolman a question, so. Anyway, you guys can see. This is the alley they're talking about, correct, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, that's correct.
So. So my question, Mr. Johnson, are you asking it to make it a 2-way?
I'm just
Or
asking.
the other direction?
I have to be able to have trucks enter and exit through that same way because they can't go down to the steep end of Mulberry. If I use it, it's after 6:30 at night and then there's nothing else going on uptown. Otherwise, I don't go up that way. But otherwise, my bank is on the corner. I tend to make a deposit and then drive up Market on my way home because I'm at 7th and Mulberry.
With the truck, could he enter from Mulberry toward Market?
No, they can't get in, they can't get in from that end. They have to come in from Market and they have to exit from Market.
Back out or back in.
Exactly, there's enough room there for that, yes, yeah.
Straight axle truck?
Yes, correct, yes, yeah. And the newspaper did business there for 120 years, so there shouldn't be a problem, with trucks getting in and out of there.
I would venture, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's right, go ahead.
Oh, that this is something that's gonna have to be studied by Mr. Gidcombe and possibly Mr. Dallas, because there are actually semi-radiuses that have to be achieved
Sure.
to make it DOT legal.
Absolutely.
And we do have to look at the impact of everything.
Yep, yep.
Cause what I don't want is semis coming in this direction and tearing our sidewalks up.
Yeah, that's not an issue at all. It's, as you see, there's plenty of room there from the street to where the sidewalk stops, so.
I'll speak from driving a semi and driving larger vehicles. You have to get out into this, west lane to make that turn in a semi.
Yes. But it's also impossible to do it from the bottom of the hill.
Anyway, all right, we will review it. It'll be tabled for 2 weeks, and we'll have more discussion at the next meeting. Mr. Johnson, is that fine?
Yeah, perfect.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Logan Crum is just in time to talk about his phone.
I'm here.
Thank you.
I'm here as the new president of the Lions Club. Donald Maines used to do this.
Yes.
We are having our annual, hoping that you approve to have our annual Candy Days, second weekend of October. So that would be October 13th and 14th. Got it right on my hand. So it's statewide thing. I did bring some candy for you.
Here's a donation, start you.
Thank you.
We'll have a lot of cash on it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody have any discussion? I think it's a wonderful thing the Lions do here locally.
It's open and available.
Yeah, the 7th, we have softball.
Okay.
Remember, she came and spoke
Yes.
with us, but I checked, and he's good to go on that weekend. And then I think,
And if it rains, it'll be the next weekend, but
now, if it,
hopefully we don't have any.
I've gotta look at the schedule, just get with me.
Okay.
Because I know that we've, got another organization that's coming out, and I just wanna make sure it's correct.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Moving on. Ava Turner, you're up.
Hello, I'm Ava Turner. I'm part of this year's CEO class. So I have grown up around real estate for quite some time. And early on into my CEO program, I knew that I wanted to do something to benefit the community. So my grandpa has had these 4 properties on.
Set it up here so everybody
Yep.
can see it.
Let's do the van of white here.
Okay, so my grandpa has had 4 different properties on 9th and Cherry. They have really become run down and an eyesore to the community. So my idea and plan was to make it a commercial property. Within the community, we have struggled a lot with finding office spaces and suites available. So my idea was to put on the corner of 9th and Cherry the commercial building in the first stage of my plan. The second stage would be adding on a duplex and townhouses. They would not be connected to the commercial building, but next door to it. There is 3 houses currently on the front side, and then behind those 3 houses, the 4th lot is running behind them. And what I wanted to do with that 4th lot is have a parking lot and driveways that would connect to those townhouses and duplexes. I have already spoke with a few of the neighbors, and they have requested to put fencing, so I have agreed to do that for them. Have any questions?
Now you can put it there for the community council to
Alright.
look at. I was just trying to get your presentation stuff down.
Photo op.
Yeah.
And she has already appeared in front of the zoning and planning board.
Yeah.
And they have approved.
Mr. Gickum, you handled that
Yeah.
zoning.
She has already presented this to the zoning board, and it was 100% recommended approval, presenting to the council their recommendation to approve this.
If you look at the big screen, it's this area right here on the corner of 9th and Cherry Street, correct? All right.
So your plan is the commercial building would be an office, is that correct?
Office spaces, I'm not limiting it. I've had a few companies reach out to me. But if it's not office spaces, it would just be a 1-room suite where a business could come in and set up in there.
So potential retail.
So is it redoing the houses that are there, or it
No,
is
demolishing.
demolishing the houses that are there?
Taking out the 3 that are on the top.
Yes.
Yes, I would entertain a motion to approve what the zoning and planning board has already approved, or made the advisory for us to approve, moving forward with the project. Mrs. Turner. Ms. Turner, sorry. All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, roll call, Mr. Turner.
Commissioner Meeks.
Yes.
Commissioner Eichmeyer. Absent Commissioner Metter.
Yes.
Commissioner Zimmerman. You can go in.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, have a good evening. Thank you. All right. Moving on to reports and communications, mine's gonna be broke up quite a bit.
Do you mind if I have a comment?
Sure.
Okay. I'm a herb maker with the Hometown Register. I live in Teutopolis, so maybe some of you heard what happened there. They had a anhydrous ammonia leak, and the town was evacuated. 5 people died, not in town. They were on the US 40, and we had about 7 people who were taken to hospitals. Airlifted some of them and all that. The reason I mention this, and that's part of the reason why I haven't shaved and I've got some bloodshot eyes, because I was doing a lot of work on the weekend to get that covered. And sort of with one hand tied behind my back, because I didn't have my work computer with me, because it's just desktop, and so it was still at my house when we were evacuated. I would recommend, I'm not second guessing anything that was done at T-Town by anybody. I think they did a good job. But you might want to look at little things, any possible gaps or problems that might come up in such an emergency. For example, some people thought this was going to be a short evacuation. They left their medications in the house, necessary medications. I know I was going for several hours without my insulin because I'm type 2 diabetes. I know there were several residences. Also making sure there's no gaps in how people are being informed of what's happening. I think you have probably a good alert system, but not everybody's using these on a regular basis. So I would look at it and just make sure there's no gaps. Maybe even some of your emergency people contact some of the people up in Effingham County and just make sure that if you have that type of a situation that you're ready for it and nobody's going to be caught. They had to block about every road leading to T-Town to make sure we didn't have any people trying to not realize it was going on or sightseers. So I know you had that with your tornado situation. So that's all I'm asking is that maybe you look at your plans and see if there's any little gaps. You know, for example, like maybe if someone needs their medications right away, because, you know, some people were out of town or, you know, and all of a sudden they can't get into town. So just make sure that you've got some leeway on that or some plan to help them out. Okay, that's all I got to say, and still covering it, and they're still investigating what happened. It looks like unofficially someone was trying to pass 3 vehicles on Route 40, and you had a detour from I-70 with another wreck, and you had a tanker that had about 7,500 gallons of anhydrous ammonia. So you basically had a cloud or flume that just was devastating. So just want to mention that to you. Okay.
Appreciate it much. Prayers for Teutopolis. And I'm sure in the weeks and months after all this investigation is done, that IEMA will be releasing stuff and getting it out to all of us here in emergency management.
There's a whole alphabet soup of
Yeah.
You have USDA because you had livestock die.
Yeah.
You have the Transportation Safety Board, just about everybody.
Yes, what do you imagine?
So, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other visitors this evening before I move on? All right, so, forgot to ask that earlier. Okay. As far as my report, it'll be kind of broke up this evening, but I do want to welcome everybody in town for Smoking with Garrett this weekend. Looks to be a beautiful weekend for the barbecue festival. I believe Commissioner Zimmerman will be talking about this, but last Tuesday, Chief Speth and I went to Mayo, South Carolina, and looked at a heavy rescue. So I believe between the two of them, they'll be talking about that. But it is right now, any good viable vehicle is very difficult to find. And you know, between Chief and I think we both agreed this was a very nice truck. So anyway, other than that, I'll move on and interject later. So Commissioner Zimmer, sorry, I was going to jump all over you guys. Commissioner Metter.
Thank you, Mayor. Last couple weeks, we've been working a lot down by the health department, redoing the concrete sidewalks down there and planting some grass that's starting to take shape and look really good. We got the rubber mulch down out at the park at Kittyland. That's still coming along, still a little bit of work to do, but all in all, we're getting close to getting that wrapped up. Other than that, just a few maintenance issues on normal stuff, and then placing some stolen street signs. So, end of report.
Thank you, Commissioner Metter. Commissioner Eichmeyer is absent. Commissioner Meeks.
Thank you, Mayor. Wastewater plant, normal maintenance. Got some good guys down there that take care of business and keep the yard mowed. Pretty much, like I say, just normal maintenance. Water plant, they laid a line down on Hydraulic Avenue. It has been installed. Water was sent in for testing. It's been approved, and it is in operation as we speak. And water sewer maintenance, just continue doing what they normally do. Marking lines, checking for leaks, just general things that they do every day, all week long. Into my report.
you, Mayor. I'm gonna defer to Chief Speth and let him talk about the rescue, so when it comes his time, so I don't want to take his thunder for that. But the fire, this month is fire prevention. The week of October 8th through October 14th is the official fire prevention week. That is the week that we really want people to, think about their different things. It's kind of ironic that the theme for that week is cooking safety starts with you. Pay attention to fire prevention. We've had multiple calls for cooking fires or just cooking smoke, letting off alarms, and so those types of things. So again, just be prepared and know your fire prevention plans. It's a good time to review your plan with kids or other people that live in your house. So like I said, the fire department, they'll be doing tours and a lot of public relation events, especially that next week. They've had multiple calls in the last couple of weeks. They've also done their annual hose testing, and then they were also attending the public relations event at the Eagles yesterday, or Saturday, I believe it was. In addition, this is Big Trash Pickup Week. The big trash does pick up today, or starts today. There is a different truck that picks up separate from the regular trash truck. So if they did not get your big items today, that does not mean that you can go and just keep adding to the pile. Once they go by your area, they will not come back to your area, so please don't put something out tomorrow if they've already been by your place today. Just kind of a reminder for that. No electronics, no construction items, and please try to put things in the bags. But they will be making their rounds to complete that pickup process this week. End of my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Zimmerman. Mr. Turner?
No report, Mayor.
All right, Mr. McCollum? No report, Mayor. All right. Mr. Garcia, it's up to you now.
Same, cutting grass, maintaining equipment, catching them, getting everything ready for the winter time coming up. So that's what's going on, Mayor.
In addition to that, Mr. Garcia, Mr. Turner, and myself have been meeting, putting together a timeline of projects that we will be meeting with the state of Illinois in the very near future, actually Wednesday. We've been working with Hanson, our engineering group. Everything above the line is in the works right now. Everything below the line is stuff that we want to work on within the next, 4 to 5 years. The big things right now, snow removal equipment. We have to have specific equipment. We have the grant for this, which was given to us back in 2021 for $166,666. We bid it out twice. State of Illinois has specific regulations that over 60% of the piece of equipment has to be made in the United States from United States parts. And everything that is in our size does not meet that criteria. So we have asked for a consideration from the FAA for a Class 5 dump truck with snowplow and other equipment. So anyway, hopefully we'll find out good news on Wednesday when we have our meeting to see if that has been approved yet, so we can move that project on. The yellow, something new that we'd like to move forward with, we started talking about it in 2020, is a new hangar, 5-unit hangar. This would be a great addition to what we have out there. We have to do the pavement expansion and the apron construction and expansion prior to doing that. But we are moving forward with talking with the state. They've got it budgeted at $333,333. We actually have the abilities to move some of our BIL money down here towards that project. The snow removal equipment has no local match. The hangar, we can get it built, and the airport's only out $8,300. So they're again a nice addition to the airport and a revenue generation. The replacement of the reels on runway 422, which is down here. Basically those are, and Mr. Garcia can correct me if I'm wrong, because I probably am, but the lights at the end of the runway.
Yes.
So anyway, our lights at the end of the runway, they do work, but they are not LED, and they're getting very, very old, and we're having trouble with them. So that is a project that we're hoping to get accomplished within the next year or two. And then our mower that's out there right now, our zero turn, is getting a lot of age and also hours on it. So there again, that is something that we can get money for from the FFA for the maintenance and upkeep of it, and only be out $5,500, which on a budget of $49,500. So anyway, a lot of stuff going on out there. In the future, they're looking at redoing some the tollways and increasing those. Our runway 1331 does not have tollways currently. It did a long time ago, as you can kind of see in the picture, but they became in disrepair a number of years ago. And with the expansion of the new hangar, is recommended that we do that project. So anyway, like I said, a lot of stuff going on out there to keep Mr. Garcia plenty busy on top of all the maintenance and upkeep of it. And it does look like a golf course out there, so tell Kenwood not to get any ideas. But looking very good out there. So anyway, there again, we are blessed with how the airport was originally set up as a military base. So when we ask for large item, number projects, they actually are very reasonable for the airport to complete. So anyway.
Is that World War II era?
Yes, actually it became the city of Mount Carmel's airport in 1947, I believe.
Yeah, there's several in, across the nation that were originally training fields. And
Ours is actually one of the four of what's called the MOAB, M-O-A-B, I believe is what it is. It's on our website, but there's four of them here locally.
Yeah.
So, all right, moving on, Chief McWilliams.
Just really one thing, the homeless individual on Market Street.
Yes.
I want to set the record straight because I'm getting profane messages sent to the Crime Stopper page. Actually, the sheriff is. The mayor and I went through great lengths to try to help this individual, which he declined all of our attempts to help him.
Mr. Kimball assisted with that too.
As he did. In the profane statement to the Crime Stopper link, they said, why don't you take this individual to Evansville, to the homeless shelter? He has no desire to go to the homeless shelter in Evansville. He lost all of his belongings when he was there the last time, and that's the last place he wants to be.
He was beat up and everything was stolen from him.
He's lost all his forms of ID from going to the homeless shelter in Evansville.
Yes.
Is this lady here from Evansville shaking her head yes, so I don't think we're too far off base. So I would love for anyone else that wants to step up and try to help this individual do so. Sending nasty messages to Crime Stoppers really serves no purpose whatsoever. We have made multiple attempts to help him. He's trying to get into a place in another town. We've already offered to give him a ride there. We've bought him food, as have many other people in the community, but we cannot help him do things that he does not want to do. It is unfortunate when we have to arrest him, but when he is barred from properties, it is our obligation to enforce those laws when he's been barred legally. And if the property owner or owners wants that done, then it's our job to fulfill that. So if there's any misconceptions as to what's going on, I want to try to set the record straight that we've done everything that we can within our power, and probably more so than most municipalities would do, to try to help that individual. It's just unfortunate, but if anyone has any questions on that, I would be happy to answer them, as you probably could too, and I know you brought it up in the past, but I really don't appreciate getting profane messages when this individual is probably doing absolutely nothing to help this subject out, other than criticize the people that have tried to help him.
Well, I've received a few messages too, but last week, Chief McWilliams reached back out to him to make another go-around at the individual. And the first step to getting your ID back is getting your Social Security card back before you can go get an ID card from the state of Illinois. Chief reached out to him and then kindly asked him, and I think if anybody has went and talked with him, to get cleaned up a little bit, because he's not very fresh, unfortunately. We offered him multiple places to go to receive a shower and clean clothes, all provided to him free, and he didn't want to do that, unfortunately. But there's certain things that you have to start with to get those IDs back and everything else. And, you know, before, unfortunately, you know, I was willing to take him up to Vincennes to the Social Security Agency to get that ID, get him back here and get him at the Secretary of State. But like I said, I think everybody would have, you know, he needs to get cleaned up first, unfortunately, in his case. And, you know, we've reached out multiple times to help, and, you know, it's unfortunate.
He was offered assistance within the last couple hours.
Yeah.
To getting to this new location, and he says, well, I think someone's gonna give me a ride. So we've offered, I'm going to pay someone overtime if we have to get him where he needs to go to help him out.
Yes.
I will authorize it, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to help this along, I think we'd all like to get him somewhere nice and warm before it turns cold, which is gonna be this week coming up from what I've seen. The better his situation, but you can't help those that are unwilling to accept the help.
And that's exactly right. I mean, we've offered and offered and offered, tried to consult with him and give him some guidance and everything else.
And he's polite, he's not rude,
Oh, yeah.
it's just he declines it for whatever reason. So,
Sad situation.
yes.
And we'll be here if he changes his mind and try to help him move forward with his life as much as possible.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you, Chief McWilliams, and sorry that you're receiving those type of calls or
It's just,
emails.
Just a day in the life.
Yeah.
It's part of it, but I'm not gonna lie, it angers me whenever people that aren't doing anything are criticizing those that do.
Oh, yeah, fully agree. Mr. Kimmel, thank you for your help on, last time, or 2 times back, we tried to get him someplace. It was unfortunate that it didn't happen, but anyway. Chief Speth.
The mayor said earlier, him and I made a trip to South Carolina, look at a rescue. This rescue, or the rescue we have now, is getting several years age on it. This rescue here is 15 years newer than what we have now. It'll do better for like rehab. It has Cascade, it has light tower. It'll carry all of our extrication equipment on it, plus for rehab and stuff. So this would serve us very well. I think the mayors and I both agreed to make us a great truck. Very low miles, very low hours. Thing is, we'll just have to come to agreement on a price on it. So, other than that, as far as truck, I think it does well, serve us very well. So, on the other thing, like Commissioner Zimmerman said, Fire Prevention Week's next week. We'll be going to schools and do our yearly fire drills there. As Herb said earlier, it's farming season. There's all kinds of tractors and semis, more than normal going through town, so please use extreme caution. It's very, very busy time for them. And also it's very dry, so just be very careful if you have campfires and stuff, so please use extreme caution out there. Other than that, that's all I have, Mayor.
Add to Chief Speth, it's got 1,900 70-some odd hours. We put some time on it. 14,600 plus miles on it, as Chief Speth drove it around and tested its capabilities. And so basically what we're asking for is, you guys have already approved $40,000 out of ARPA to be used for a rescue, because 2 years ago when we were hoping to get a rescue, you know, for around 40,000, and we've searched and searched and searched, and the ones I'm finding for 40,000 are in worse shape than what we got, unfortunately. So
Just to put it, since COVID's hit, departments that's rescues went out on them, and now these large cities is going out and buying all these rescues because they're 2 to 3 years out of getting a brand new one. So that's just drove the price of rescues and tankers just through the roof.
yeah.
So they've increased about 200%. So that's,
And to Chief's point, you might ask why they want to get rid of this with low hours and low miles. One thing that Chief Speth and I, or more him than me, they don't have hydrants out there in their fire protection district. They have to rely on tankers. Their tankers, as you would expect, are older, high miles, and so they don't want to get rid of the rescue, but they need a tanker worse than they need the rescue. They purchased the rescue new when they had a larger fire protection district, and other fire protection districts have popped up since then, but they need tankers. And so that is why they're getting rid of it, to purchase a tanker.
and they're having the same issue
Yes.
with the rescue as with the tankers we're having with the rescue.
Yes. They would love to trade up even for our tanker, is what they said, but Chief Speth said no, which, that's good, because we got a newer tanker. But anyways, so what I'm asking tonight from the council is the authorization to negotiate with Mayo Fire District on this, and then pending the 2% foreign firefighter tax board's approval of funding, because we would use 40,000 from ARPA, the rest of it would come from the 2%, correct, Chief?
Yes.
We have $123,000, plus we have 14,000 more that should show up within the next week or two going into the 2%. At least that's the numbers I was given today. And I know the 14's been released because it was released on September 28th. We just haven't received it yet. So I get notification on that. So I can't call the 2% firefighter board to order until I know what I'm asking for. So, 139,000 is what they want for it.
Knowing you, you'll probably get it for 120.
We're thinking 80?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was hoping 82, but that got shot down pretty quick. So, to give you an idea, down in Jonesboro, they have a 2000 Spartan Hackney Rescue. It's got 139,000 miles on it, or 131,000, and it's got over 7,000 hours, and they want 89,000 for it. That's to give you an idea how much rescues and tankers have inflated in the last 3 years. So, I'm just asking for the council's approval to enter into negotiations for the heavy rescue, and whatever we get to would be pending the 2% foreign firefighter tax board.
Looking for a motion?
I am looking for a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, Mr. Turner.
Commissioner Meeks,
Yes.
Commissioner Eichmeyer is absent, Commissioner Metter,
Yes.
Commissioner Zimmerman.
All right. Mr. Gideon.
All right, I'm gonna make mine really quick. I had the same report last time. We're gonna be getting started on Division Street. There's a lot to do on Division Street, but we cannot get started until the state gives us the recommendations on that sidewalk we are wanting to replace. They came in last week, but they have not responded with any of their ideas or recommendations for that sidewalk.
And to answer everybody's question, why can't you start at the other end? Because of the slope on the Division and Third area, that's where we have to start at. I can get a confirmation from Mr. Dallas on that, because
it's pretty flat on the other side of Division, but we gotta get that angle for the ADA correct, so.
End of my report.
Awesome, thank you, Mr. Gidcombe. All right, consent agenda. Need a motion to pay all bills provided. I guess, Mr. Turner wants to talk about ordinance 2096 first, though.
Yeah, okay, so ordinance 2096 is vacating on a roadway which is on Aaron Drive. It's not used very often except for the residents that live there. Actually, I didn't work on this ordinance as much, so I'll let Mr. Gitcom.
All right. We added on to the end of this roadway on Aaron Drive. We have two individuals that purchased all of the lots where this roadway used to go through. So we're vacating the end of that roadway, which only goes to private drives now. It doesn't affect any of the other lots or getting into anybody else's property.
And this is
And this
just
is
the
just first reading.
Okay. So that's the first reading. All right, so back to consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll make it.
Do I have a second? All right, roll call, Mr. Turner.
Commissioner Meeks.
Yes.
Commissioner Reitmeyer's absent. Commissioner Metter.
Yes.
Commissioner Zimmerman.
Yes.
All right, ordinance 2097.
Okay, that's what you voted on earlier.
Okay.
That's already passed.
All right. Sounds good. Old business, reviewed with Republic Services at the end of last week. They're still way behind on approving extensions on contracts, so no updates there. I was hoping that a miracle would happen, but it didn't, so. Anyway, any other things that we need to speak about this evening for the betterment of the council? With hearing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn. I have a second. Cool.